What happens when government slowly gains more control, and most people don't even notice it happening? Because history shows freedom rarely disappears all at once.
There's a quiet truth most people feel long before they can explain it. When a government remembers its limits, freedom has room to breathe. But when those limits fade, even slowly, the balance shifts. Not in a dramatic moment, not in a single law, but in small steps that add up over time. This story isn't about anger or fear. It's about understanding how power works, why limits matter, and what it means for everyday people who simply want to live their lives with dignity, responsibility, and room to make their own choices. A government can protect your freedom or slowly take it over. The difference often comes down to one thing: boundaries. The kind the founders believed were essential for a free society. And today we're living in a moment where those boundaries feel blurry. Not because of one leader or one party, but because of a long chain of decisions, emergencies, and habits that built up over generations. This is the story of what happens when government forgets limits, and what it takes for a nation to remember them again. When the United States began, the federal government was never meant to run everyday life. It wasn't designed to manage schools, healthcare, housing, or the details of local communities. Its job was simple and focused: national defense, foreign affairs, and keeping peace between the states. The founders understood something timeless. People are imperfect. Power can be useful, but it can also be dangerous. So they built a system with guardrails, separate branches, checks and balances, and clear boundaries on what the federal government could do. They believed most decisions should stay close to the people, not in far-off offices, not in agencies that never face voters, but in towns, counties, states, churches, families, and communities. Over time, though, the country grew. Problems grew with it. And in moments of crisis, wars, depressions, pandemics, economic shocks, people looked to Washington for help. Many of those programs began with good intentions. Some solved real problems. But emergency powers have a habit of staying long after the emergency ends. And slowly, something shifted. Congress began giving more of its authority to federal agencies. These agencies started writing rules, enforcing them, and even deciding disputes about those same rules. The people running them weren't elected. They didn't rotate out with each election cycle. They stayed. This wasn't a dramatic takeover. It was a drift, a slow movement of power away from voters and toward institutions that rarely change. And while this was happening, something else was happening too. Families weakened. Churches thinned out. Local communities lost some of their strength. When those pillars faded, government stepped in to fill the gaps. Not because people were bad, not because leaders were evil, but because nature hates a vacuum. When responsibility leaves one place, it shows up somewhere else. To understand how government forgets limits, you have to understand the pressures that push it there. One pressure is complexity. Modern life is complicated. Technology moves fast. Global issues cross borders. It's easy for leaders to say, let the experts handle it. And sometimes experts are needed. But expertise without accountability becomes something else. Something the founders warned about. Another pressure is fear of failure. When something goes wrong, a crisis, a disaster, a scandal, people want someone to fix it. And government often steps in, but each step adds another layer of authority, another rule, another office. There's also political pressure. Leaders want to show results. Passing a law takes time. Delegating power to an agency is faster. Over decades, that shortcut became a habit. Then there's public expectation. As government took on more roles, people began expecting more from it. Safety, stability, solutions. But every new expectation requires new power. And every new power stretches the limits a little further. Finally, there's cultural pressure. When communities weaken, people look upward instead of outward. Instead of neighbors helping neighbors, the default becomes programs, systems, and national solutions. None of these pressures are evil. None of them come from villains. They come from human nature, the same human nature the founders understood so well. But when these pressures combine, something important happens. Power moves upward. Responsibility moves outward. Freedom moves backward. And most people don't notice until the shift is already deep. The path forward isn't about tearing things down or pretending government has no role. It's about remembering the balance that made freedom possible in the first place. A strong government is not the same as a free people. Strength without limits becomes control. Freedom without responsibility becomes chaos. The founders aimed for something in between, a system where power is limited, watched closely, and kept near the people. So, what does a healthy path forward look like? It starts with clarity, knowing what the federal government is meant to do and what it isn't. National defense? Yes. Protecting basic rights? Yes. Running every detail of daily life? No. It continues with accountability. When agencies make rules that affect millions, those decisions should be tied to people who face voters, not hidden behind layers of bureaucracy. It grows with local strength. Families, churches, neighborhoods, and communities are the first line of support in a healthy society. When they are strong, government doesn't need to step in as often. It depends on character. A limited government only works when people are willing to take responsibility for their own lives, not because they're forced to, but because they choose to. And it requires patience. Restoring balance doesn't happen overnight. It happens through steady choices, clear boundaries, and a culture that values freedom enough to protect it. When government forgets limits, it doesn't happen with a loud announcement. It happens quietly through small steps that feel helpful in the moment. But freedom is a long game. It depends on boundaries, on responsibility, and on people who understand that power grows unless someone keeps it in check. The founders didn't trust power because they understood people. They knew we are capable of great things, but also capable of drifting toward comfort over responsibility. That's why they built a system designed to slow power down, not speed it up. Today, remembering those limits isn't about going backward. It's about going forward with wisdom. It's about choosing a future where government protects freedom instead of replacing it. Freedom lasts when people stay involved, stay aware, and stay committed to the idea that power works best when it stays close to the people. That's the heart of a healthy nation. That's the heart of a free society.
Thanks for watching. If this story made you think, give the video a thumbs up, subscribe, and join the conversation below. Share this with someone who still believes freedom is worth protecting.
Please support the channel by clicking the logo on the left to go to our channel to subscribe, or the screen on the right for your next video. Thanks again.
Your next video is now ready.